In 1910, 18-year-old Virginia Roncoli was sleeping on her train ride to Cleveland, Ohio, until suddenly she woke up to the smell of something burning. Then, seconds later, smoke filled the cabins like a flood. People attempted to run into the next cabin, only to find the door locked. In a panic, they started smashing windows to try and escape. People were trampled and started screaming. Virginia, being seated near the back of the train, got to the rear compartment first and swung the door wide open. As soon as it was unlatched, she was pulled underneath the car and died instantly. What happened on this frightful day to cause this tragedy? But before I finish that story, I wanted to give more context on the tunnel that the train passed through. And on this episode of Locals Only, we'll dive deep into the mysteries of Crozet's tunnel. In 1850, Claudius Crozet, a French engineer who once served under Napoleon, was hired to work on part of a railroad that would connect Virginia to the rest of America. He gathered a crew of Irish immigrants and African slaves to create the longest tunnel through rock the United States had ever seen. This was no small feat. The American Society of Civil Engineers recognizes this due to the creative solutions they pioneered with hand tools. This was a time even before dynamite was invented, so they used black powder charges with moderate progress. The tunnel cut through the rocky underbelly of the Blue Ridge Mountains, over a mile long. Over 8 years they blasted, drilled, and scraped their way, being just paid $1 a day if they were lucky. Construction was painful and plagued by unexpected underground springs, near unbreakable greenstone, and even infighting between the Irish immigrants, and not to mention cholera outbreaks that claimed the lives of some 40 people. While so much more could be said about the building of this tunnel, for anyone looking for more information should watch the video linked below from American Focus Films that goes into greater detail. But the tunnel wasn't perfect, and a young girl was about to reveal that flaw with her life. Now, 52 years after its completion, sometime after midnight, Virginia is being woken up. At this point in time, the tunnel was known to not be well ventilated, which required the train passengers to keep their windows tightly closed when passing through. This was to prevent smoke from entering the cars. Now, according to official reports, apparently some Italian families riding in the front of the train didn't understand the conductor's instructions or warnings to close the windows before passing through. So smoke began flowing freely back into the cabins, awakening the sleeping passengers. Having no idea they were in the belly of the mountain and thinking the train was on fire, people were trampled, windows were smashed, but the more they struggled, the more smoke added to the disorder. In the August 9th, 1910 Staunton Spectator newspaper, the writer stated,
"A general stampede followed the crowded coach. Among the wildly excited foreigners, some of whom, who attempted to make their exit and finding the front door fastened, began breaking windows. This admitted more smoke and added to the disorder."
When train number 3 stopped at the Basic City station, the grief-stricken father Francisco, his wife, and oldest son disembarked and traveled back to the tunnel to retrieve the frightfully mangled remains of their beloved daughter. Bringing her back on train number 13, a Chesapeake and Ohio claims agent arrived and assisted with the removal and burial of the girl's body somewhere in Basic City. After hearing all this information and learning about all this history, I felt compelled to go visit this site of grief and wonder. And I wasn't the only one. In 2020, a project to rejuvenate the tunnel for public access was finished. All sorts of construction was done to make this tunnel more accessible. There's a gravel walkway through the hills that leads down to the abyss-like passage. But make no mistake, it is pitch black in there, as no lights were installed. You must bring a flashlight or a headlamp, just as we did. While walking through it, we felt disbelief. Every inch of the mile-long tunnel through the body of the Blue Ridge Mountains was captivating. It felt alive as we walked through it. Because of the colder atmosphere, every breath you take lingers in the air like a specter and gets caught in the darkness with your flashlight. You see water drip down the walls and streams pour from the ceiling. You can hear movement from every direction, from the echoing all around. So if you ever get a chance to visit Crozet's tunnel, I highly recommend it, but bring flashlights and prepare for an uphill walk back. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting people, places, and things in the area. This is Patrick from Locals Only saying, thanks for watching.